Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Njabulo James, the host of the NJ podcast, where we talk with people from all walks of life, whether you've made it, on your way to making it, you're a person that can say no to a lot of money, and you're an entrepreneur, you're passionate about growing people, and I believe that it doesn't matter from which walk of life you come from, that you still have a story to share. And the tagline that this podcast is based off of is my favorite tagline, which is success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That means you're doing what you've always wanted to do, and not anyone's forcing you to do it, because that is the only way for you to live according to your highest values. And on the show today, I've been waiting for this for quite some time. I want to get answers. I have Kagiso Tloubatla, and I'm going to read out his bio before we get into it. So he co-founded SV Capital, an investment company in Johannesburg, which specializes in alternative assets. He obtained his Bcom Finance Degree from the University of Johannesburg and completed his postgraduate diploma in management at Wits Business School. He is passionate about educating people about the importance of investing and addressing the socioeconomic issues in Africa by making impactful investments. Thank you very much, Kagiso, for coming to the show.
Thanks for inviting me. I've been waiting for some time as well.
Yeah, we've been waiting for some time. Yeah. Just a special shout out to Bongani for giving me the contact.
Yeah, it's always a plug. Always a plug.
Yeah, he always has a plug. So other than the bio that we have here, who is Kagiso? Why is Kagiso? And what does Kagiso like to do?
Yeah, it's a tough question.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm a co-founder of SV Capital.
Yeah.
I'm a husband.
Yeah.
I'm a brother.
Yeah.
I'm a son.
Yeah.
I'm an uncle.
Yeah.
I guess I would say that I'm very I'm a family orientated person. I love my family, my extended family, my immediate family. You know, I enjoy long walks on the beach. Now I'm kidding. But you know, I think I enjoy learning and teaching, specifically around finance, because that's what I'm really trained in.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm comfortable with. It's a difficult question to answer. Who am I?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think from a personal, or leaving out the business side of things, I'm just a guy that's really looking to live out the Pan-African principles and to leave South Africa or the African continent better than I found it.
Yeah.
And I guess, my Twitter bio says that I'm a caterpillar seeking butterfly status.
Ooh.
So yeah, I guess that's
I'm stealing that one.
I guess that summarizes who I am.
Yeah, that talks all about progress. So just give us your journey in business, because offline I've heard that it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
But I want to get the more in-depth details. So so you graduated from university and got your postgraduate diploma from Wits. From that moment in time to where you are now, what was that journey like?
Yeah, so I think the journey starts while I was actually at the University of Johannesburg.
Yeah.
So I stayed in Res. So if you ask anyone that stayed in Res, they'll tell you that the life in Res was movie in some cases. It was quite interesting. But I started working at Investec in my second year of university.
Okay. How does that work? You don't have a degree, but you work.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, and that's why I'm saying it really started. While I was still at university. So I started working at Investec my second year of university. I was working in the call center at Investec.
Oh, you're working in the call center.
Yeah. So I was working at night, on weekends, public holidays.
Yeah.
So that's really how I started, and a friend of mine actually plugged me into that. Even before that, I never saw myself as someone completing a degree or studying. I was like a rugby player in high school, and like everyone, you drink
What position did you play in rugby?
I played fullback, second center, wing.
Okay.
But, you know, I thought I was damn good,
And
you
then?
know? So,
What happened?
you know, when you're a big fish in a small pond,
Oh,
and
one
then
of those
you
things,
get
yeah.
to a big pond and you're a small fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of things happened. Got to UJ, injuries started troubling me, and just things went a bit south. But
Yeah.
and then anyway, got this job at Investec, which was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And I thought, look, let me actually, you know, give this a try.
Yeah.
I then realized that I quite enjoy finance, so I'm really gonna, you know, cut my teeth here and do it full time. Did it while I was studying, managed to pass my degree and managed to still do well at work. So when I was done at UJ, got my Bcom degree, I already had a job at Investec, which was cool. But that's where I really started seeing and learning a lot about money. And I realized that money in South Africa specifically is a white people thing.
White people thing.
Yeah, it's like a white people thing.
It's a Rothschild thing, eh?
Yeah, it's like a lot of black people, a lot of principles about money I learned in that environment. It wasn't really principles that I learned at home.
Yeah.
And not to blame my parents or anything. It's just it's a function of, you know, of things being passed
how
down.
we grew up and where the past,
Exactly. So a lot of those principles I learned then, and I thought, look, you know, I need to do something with all the stuff that I've learned. I need to do something to be able to help other people. You know? And it was always something my grandmother kept on saying to me. She would say, but you know about money, so why aren't you teaching other people?
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, I don't know. She's like, but you need to start your own thing. Like, why don't you just do your own thing for black people?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't have the knowledge. She's like, but you've been learning there. What are you doing?
Yeah. So you're making excuses. Eh?
Exactly.
Do you know what the sound of a black person making excuses is?
No.
Hey.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was you.
Yeah, that was me.
I don't know. Hey, what am I going to do? I don't have the knowledge.
Exactly that. So I, you know, when I was done at university at UJ, I was at Investec for some time. Learned quite a lot there. And that's when I did my undergrad. My postgrad at the Wits Business School.
What made you decide to do a postgrad and not an honors degree?
I wanted to do an MBA.
Okay.
Right? Then I was actually advised that rather actually do the PDM, because it's like a pre-MBA. It's like a half MBA.
Yeah.
And then you'll see if you really want to pursue the MBA, then go ahead. Or, I mean, a PDM is still quite, you get MBA credits for it. So there's some courses for the MBA that you don't have to do. And your MBA is a lot shorter. It's like 8 months. Yeah. As opposed to 12 months or 18 months. So, and there was a couple of people that had done the PDM, and they said, look, it's a really good course. It's practical. So try it out, which I did, and I really enjoyed. And that's where I realized that irrespective of what your undergrad is, you can really become anything you want. Yeah. Because in my postgrad, there were people, nuclear physicists, engineers, people that study like black holes in space.
What?
Yeah, it was weird. It was very weird.
Where did these people come from?
I also didn't know that there were such qualifications, but you know, like some really smart but like weird people, like physiotherapists.
I should get them on the show just to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I was in class with them for 2 years and I still didn't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized that, you know, actually I could, you know, if you just apply yourself, if you apply your mind, you could really do anything you want to. Yeah. And I guess that's where a lot of my thinking started changing as to what can I do from a business perspective to try uplift my people, to try uplift South Africans, and that's really when the thinking started.
So just a question: what is the most difficult part of being able to uplift our people? Now that we're there, I was going to save this question for later, but let's get into that one. Yeah,
I think the most difficult part is, you know, the saying, you know, it's easier to help those that want to help themselves. Yeah. You know, it's like teaching a man how to fish rather than giving him fish. I don't want to mess up that saying, like Bantu Hulu Misa did.
Yeah. I think the saying is give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, and teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
That's correct. Yeah. That is the saying. Yeah. So I think the difficulty for me has been the mindset shift is probably the most difficult thing to do. What I found was that, besides from maybe family and immediate friends that have been very supportive in my business journey or dealings or with really anything I've wanted to try, black people tend to look down on other black people, especially when it comes to something like money. They're like, yeah, but what do you mean? You're just like me. So you don't know, you don't know much about money.
Yeah.
But you get the same feel from white people, right? Because white people are just like, yeah, but your people don't know nothing about money.
Oh, okay.
So what are you telling me that I don't already know?
Oh, geez, like
so you're dealing with pressure from both sides.
You're dealing with pressure from one side and dealing with the pressure from another side. Oh,
yeah,
geez.
so it's I guess that's been the biggest challenge for me or for us as a business. And also when you're trying to teach people about money, it's like they can't look past you are like me.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, sure, we are all the same. I mean, we're both black, but I might know something that you might not know. You might know something I might not know. So we don't see each other as like teachers.
Yeah.
It's like, but what am I going to learn from you?
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about money, but you don't drive a Porsche, though.
Yeah, but like what they don't understand is that I don't have any car payments.
yeah, exactly. So it's like it's like that mindset is very different.
Barrier.
Yeah,
it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating to see. So are you telling me that they would rather learn from someone who doesn't look like them, whether it's a white person, Indian person, because the bias is not there?
No, definitely. I mean, if we look at how South Africa is set up, you know, I think from apartheid days, the white man is the black man's savior, and that's how it's positioned. It's very difficult for it's very. I see that it's very difficult for black people to trust other black people, and I'll give you an example. A black guy will rock up in a Porsche or Ferrari.
Yes.
Your immediate thought is not necessarily, this guy's done really well. Like, I wonder what he's done. It's just like, this guy's finishing all this COVID money.
Yeah.
All this COVID money, tender money.
He says a tender money.
Yeah. He's government contracts.
My latest favorite, Utwele, which means he's got a snake.
Exactly.
He's using black magic to do all this
Exactly.
stuff.
It's.
Why do we want to give each other credit, though?
I think it's because the issue for me, what I've noticed is we hate ourselves. It's like when I see you, I see me like a bit like you look like me. Yeah. So I like immediately if I do not respect myself or I don't back myself, it'll be very difficult for me to back someone that looks like me.
Very true.
So that's where the issue I think lies. And when a black person or when another black person is doing well, it's like this envy, you want to pull him down. You're just like, there's you hating on him.
Yes,
and you just want to put him down. You're like, but he's not that special. Like, what's so different about him?
Yeah, no, it's because you hate yourself.
Exactly. So it's like you're looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And you're just projecting it in a way where
So how are you able to unhate yourself? Because I mean, like, you're black. I can see that.
Yeah. Well, it could be like an Uncle Ruckus.
You've got that the way you were white and then you turned black.
Exactly. Reverse vitiligo.
And you grew up in a black community. I'm making the assumption here. You grew up in a black community. So how do you able to like break that mental barrier to say, okay, if a black person is successful, I'm not going to want to pull that person down. Maybe the urge was there, maybe the thought did cross your mind, but you got the mental maturity to say, I want to learn from a person who's doing better. How did you do that?
I think I was fortunate that I grew up in a household that my parents and my grandparents and my immediate family always positively reinforced us.
Okay, that's good.
As opposed to maybe pull you down or break you down, they always were encouraging of anything. I mean, if I tell my parents I want to become a doctor tomorrow, they'd be like, okay, well, that's great. We'll back you.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that really translated to me wanting to not necessarily being focused on other people, more focused on me doing well. Also being in sports helped my mindset when it comes to competing. So for example, in sports, when there's a player better than you, I don't hate the player. I'm just like, I need to be better than him. So it means I need to train harder.
I almost was like, I don't hate the player, I hate the game.
It crossed my mind. But I don't, I see a better player and I want to be better than him.
Yeah.
So I train harder.
Okay.
So I understand that there's work that has to go in to becoming good at whatever craft you choose, whether it's in business, whether it's in sports or the arts and crafts. There's a element of preparation and training. Yeah. So for me, when someone is better than me, or I don't envy them from the point of I want what you have. Yes. It's I want to. If that's what I want, is I want to be better than you, or I want to be as good. But I know that I have to put in the work. Yeah. Well, in this day and age, it's very different. Someone's like, "Yeah, see, you're good, but I want what exactly that. I'm gonna snatch it from your hand.
I want SV Capital. Exactly. Instead of saying, how do I build a version of SV Capital?
Exactly. Or I'm gonna bring you down. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna pull you down and make sure that I go on Twitter and I like shit talk you on Twitter so you can engage me, and then we get into a public spat, and then there's a situation, then I'm painted in a bad light,
and then they want to cancel you.
Exactly. Then they want to cancel me for 2021. So I think for me it's more of a mindset thing. I don't, when I see another successful black person, it's for me it's motivation. It's like, you're doing really well. It motivates me to say, look, I can also do this well. As opposed to I don't want him to be doing well. I would, there's enough space at the top. Well, there's enough space for everyone anyway. Wherever you want to be, there's enough space. I think it's just, you need to make the room. Other people make the room and other people don't.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's like, it's that whole scarcity mindset, which is the basics of economic theory. Yeah. So supply, demand, and scarcity. But
exactly.
You don't necessarily believe in that.
No, I really don't. I mean, I'll give you an example. Food.
Okay.
Right? South Africa does not have a shortage of land. Specifically arable land. Actually, let me not just say South Africa. The African continent does not have a shortage of arable land. Okay. We have an abundance of it. Yes. We don't have a shortage of sunlight. Okay. We have an abundance. We don't have a shortage of rain. Barring the drought areas and drought times, we have an abundance of it. Yeah. Yet, when the UN wants to help Africa resolve the starvation issues, they send maize from the Americas, the Europes, the Chinas into this continent. As opposed to, I mean, the same we're talking about with regards to fish, as opposed to teaching the people there how to farm properly, they would rather feed them. So who controls who in that stage? If I'm feeding you, I'm controlling you. Yeah. But I'm not teaching you how to feed yourself, which is a problem. Yeah. So you're actually you're perpetuating the problem. Yeah, you're creating a dependency deliberately in order for you to control.
Yeah, that's exactly,
Because as soon as you cut the food, there's a what is it called? Like uprising amongst the people. Yeah. Like civil war and those kind of situations. As soon as you cut the food, because people are starving, people do whatever they need to do to eat, right? So it's really power games. If we have a look at the issues, a lot of the issues on this continent, really comes down to resources. The African continent has got an abundance of resources. Yes. Whether it's minerals for gold, diamonds, or any of the stuff that's used to create our cell phones or our smart devices. We have an abundance of those, but yet we're still one of the poorest continents in the world. We're still starving to death when we have the most arable land in the world. We should be feeding the world, but it's the other way around. You look at Netherlands, it's feeding like a lot of the world, and it's a tiny little island basically compared to some countries in this continent.
So that comes down to the mindset. I was just thinking about the shortage of food. Is like more of a metaphor for us, us.
Exactly.
It's a metaphor. It's like we've got all the resources deep down, but then our mind is not letting us tap into those resources.
Yeah, we sleep in. I mean, also another example. I Okay, maybe when I was younger, I obviously didn't think like this. You know,
Yeah.
you're not, a lot of us, I think, you're not born woke,
Yeah.
as they call it. Now we all come to our own realization
Yes,
of
yes.
anything, you know, in anything and basically everything. You come to your own realization. So what I'm trying to learn to do is not to look at someone and judge them and be like, yeah, but how could you be so stupid and not think of it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because once I was also at that point
Yes.
where I didn't see this, you know, to be like, how, but why can't you see the white man is controlling you? Once I was that guy too, that
Yeah, you
didn't
didn't
see
know,
it.
yeah.
So I try not necessarily judge anyone. I mean, I say I try. I do judge people sometimes,
Yeah, it's-
but which I shouldn't, but I do.
It's human nature.
But I try not to. But for example, people in villages trying to come to the cities, right? Because of jobs and job opportunities and work. But if you really break it down, why do we work? Right? We work to make money. Why do we want to make money? Because we want to eat. But now you ask the question, do you actually need money to eat? Do you eat money or do you eat food?
We eat food.
So why not just plant the food you need to eat and live a life that is like within your means? Why don't you just plant your own food and just...
What's your answer to that question?
It's just human greed. It's like we always want more.
Okay.
We always want more, right? You know, for me, like the most ideal situation, the most perfect situation, I've said it to my wife, you know,
Yeah.
multiple times, is
Yeah.
we just really live in a small remote village
Yeah.
where we've got our own, we've got a vegetable garden, we've got fruits, we have
Yeah.
animals, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then every day we're really living to better ourselves as
Yeah.
people, spiritually to better ourselves, as
Yeah.
opposed to like arguing, like just in the morning, just in jail, you're in a car already, you're arguing with the taxi driver. You're getting to work and you arguing with your hand.
Yeah.
It's like a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Only for you to eat, but you're not eating the money
That's very
that
true.
you're getting.
Yeah,
you
we
actually
have it backwards. Yeah.
Exactly, we actually really have it backwards.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying it's the answer. I'm saying
Yeah.
that's my
your
answer.
Yeah, and I asked
Yeah.
you for your answer.
Exactly, that's my answer, as opposed to other people. You know, like we're not gonna, when the time comes, when your time is up here,
Yeah.
in this earth,
Yeah.
and you know, you go to wherever you need to go to based on how you've lived your life, and you need to answer.
Yeah.
You know, I want to, for me, I want to be able to say, look, I really did my best, and I lived a life that I thought was one that was spiritually fulfilling,
Yeah.
and one that, you know, helped other people.
Yes.
As opposed to, you know, I really try to hoard everything for myself. And
So you don't want to be the richest man in the graveyard.
I wouldn't want to be the richest man in the graveyard, nor would I want to be really the richest man alive.
Is it?
No, I have no interest.
Think about that Jeff Bezos money, man.
Yeah, it's cool, bro. It's cool, but more money, more problems.
Wow, listen, you at least get to deal with your problems in a better way, you know.
Well, that's
I'll be
Jordan
at
Belfort says. What did he say? I would rather show up to my problems wearing a $1,000 suit.
A suit,
In
yeah.
the back of a limo.
Yeah, the back of a limo. Well, depending on the problem, some problems I don't want to show up in.
Yeah.
So like, what is a price that you definitely not willing to pay? Because so now that we're on the concept of money, and you say that you don't want to be the richest man in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Your ideal situation would be a remote place where you have your own food, you've got your own vegetables and livestock, and you're able to better yourselves and read a couple of books, listen to a podcast like these, and not have to fight with people. What is the price that you are definitely not willing to pay in business and in life? Where this is coming from, I'm trying to understand is some people can't get to points where they really sell their soul.
Yeah.
So for a better business deal, more money. What price is it that you're definitely not willing to pay? Where you're like, yeah, they're offering you Jeff Bezos money. But like, what is it that you're not willing to do?
I guess anything that goes against my beliefs or moral standing, I'm not willing to do. You know, I think in life there's a few things that one takes with them when they die. You know? And that's really like your beliefs. Like what you stood for is what will last. Everything else will fall apart, you know, when you die, because it doesn't really matter. So what you stood for is what really lasts. And for me, if anything goes against what I stand for, I don't care how much money you're willing to
Yeah.
offer me. I am not interested at all.
So what's that one pillar of yours that's unshakable that you're not willing to compromise on? Just name one.
I think integrity.
Integrity.
Really, I think integrity and just honest, like just, I guess integrity covers, you know, it's an umbrella term.
Oh,
but
come on, Kagiso. So why do you want integrity? I want to be rich.
yeah, look,
I'm kidding.
you can be rich. That's cool for you. You know, I enjoy my sleep. And
You enjoy your sleep?
Yeah, I enjoy my sleep, and I want to be able to sleep peacefully at night.
But
you know?
Bentleys are nice as well.
That?
Don't you think Bentleys are nice as well?
Yeah, Bentleys are nice, but they're not comfortable to sleep in. So they're not comfortable to sleep in. But yeah, I enjoy my sleep, and I think you can't trade any. Your sanity is important. You can't trade. Yeah, for me, my name is. If I say I'm going to do something, or people must know that, okay, cool. If he says he's doing this, he's doing it. You know, we trust that he wouldn't do something like this. So integrity is very, very important. Money is a, you know, like I mentioned to you the other day, money for me is a transfer of energy, right? Money is paper. We use money to buy things. But it's like, what do you value? Like if you value Bentleys, then fine, you're gonna need a lot of money to buy a Bentley. But if you value things that money cannot buy, then no one can ever really buy you. You know, no one can come into a room with a bag of money and then kind of shake your, you know, your belief system, and you're a little bit unsure on your decisions. Because if if a tree is grown on solid, firm ground and its roots are set, you will not move it anyway. Irrespective, the strongest winds can come. It will still stand. You know, it will experience winter and it'll be bare and naked. It'll still be standing. You know, and wait for the next summer.
All right. Okay, well, we'll see. No, I'm kidding. Because we're all open to temptations, and sometimes it can be definitely difficult to say. I, for one, if someone says I'm giving you $7 billion US, and it's going to be hard for me to say no to whatever it is that they're putting on the table. I've admitted that to myself, so I can just really know myself. But certain things I just wouldn't do. But we're all open to those temptations. Like,
I agree with you.
Or should I not? But
I think it's easy to say when the 7 billion is not here. It's easy to answer the question. But I think also what's important is the people that are around you. So like, you know, my wife, family, friends, parents, for them to also, the people that know you, to keep you in check. To say, look, this is not you. This is not what you do. You know, because sometimes when that money comes in, it could just confuse you. And you need someone to hold you still, to be like, hey, don't forget, you know, this is the plan. This is not the plan.
And hopefully hopefully that person is in line with your values.
That's very true. That's true, because sometimes money comes in.
Take the money, fool.
Family changes now. Family's like, we have been waiting
for this man.
We've supported you since birth. You're gonna say no? This is also our chance to make it out.
Chance to be free. And that could also happen. Like some people, you haven't talked to them in like 20 years. And then now that you've got some semblance of money, they're like, remember back then when I gave you a cool drink on the way to school and your lips were chapped? I'm like, now you have entitled to my stuff.
I mean, I watched one episode of I Blew It, and
I don't know it. What's up?
So it's basically a show on, I think it was on DSTV, of people that have won the lottery, South Africans that have won the lottery, and then they tell the story about how they blew it.
Western Westgate.
It's Western Westgate. It's bad, bruh. It was bad. Like some people have blown like 42 million rand. 42
million rand? How do you blow 42 million rand?
But for me, what I got from that show, the one thing I learned was, if you money doesn't necessarily, wealth is not necessarily money, it's a mindset. So if you have the right mindset, you'll actually always be wealthy. You might not be, and wealth is not a specific amount, right? Or it's relative. So wealthy to me might be 1 million rand. Wealthy to someone else might be 1 billion rand. You know, a billionaire might be like, I don't have enough money, I'm not wealthy. So it's like, it's very relative. But if your mindset is right and you have the right principles, you will then be okay. If you have the right principles about money, then you'll be okay. But if you got the wrong principles, you can take a poor person, give them 1 billion rand, they will still be poor in 2 or 3 years' time, because they'll blow that money. you know, because it's I always use the analogy of the tree or the apple tree.
Yeah.
You can plant an apple tree, and when it's time to harvest, you eat all of the fruits,
Yeah.
and you decide not to replant for the next season.
Yeah.
You might have a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
You've eaten everything on there. You haven't replanted, so you're not, you know, planning for the
Planning
next,
for the future, yeah.
Exactly. So that's typically what happens when your mindset's not right. You'll eat all those apples, having
Yeah.
a good time, and then you have a problem the next season.
Yeah, so onto something that's been percolating in my mind. What is your darkest hour, like in business, like from a business perspective? Like since you started SV Capital till now, what was that that darkest moment that you had where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it out to this black hole, or whatever it is. Like I don't know what the struggle was, but I just want to understand what was that moment in time where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And then how did you make it out?
Well, yeah. So I think probably the darkest or the most difficult time was, I would say, there've been a couple of times. It's very difficult to rank them. It's very difficult to rank them.
But pick one that's the most memorable.
I would say when we started, right? I think when we started, you start with this idea and with all this excitement, and you think everyone is gonna buy into your business idea and is gonna want to become a client, like, because you're like, it's a no-brainer. This is amazing. This is great what we do, and it's like, to maybe give a more visual analogy. It's like you have this grocery store, and it's got like the cheapest products, greatest quality, and you have an opening, and you open, and like only 2 people show up.
Oh yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. So and then you start thinking, did I make the right decision leaving my 9 to 5?
Yeah.
You know, like I was actually really doing well there. I built up a great reputation. I was on my way to really doing well, earning good money. You know, like. I sold my car to do this.
Yeah.
You know, like, was that the right decision?
Yeah.
You know, and you just like, but there's only 2 people in the store. So what does this mean? Like, there's no one backing me. And I think that is not necessarily a single event, but it's a constant thing. It's constantly, you like, we should have more clients, but we don't. But why? Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Are we gonna get to the level where we're big enough for this thing to sustain itself?
Yeah.
Are we gonna get to the level, a critical mass where we actually making real change? That's a constant thought. That's probably an everyday thought for me. It's not it wasn't a once-off thing. But I guess initially when it hits you, you think back to, my life used to be amazing. You know, like I would get paid on the same day every month with no issues. You know? Like
now when do you get paid now?
Now it's like, you don't know. It's exactly. It's like, hey, when the
Russian roulette.
when there's a solar eclipse, maybe something will come in. So it's like, you know, like car payments would go off, and you'd be like. You wouldn't even be looking at the messages, you know?
Because you're covered.
Exactly. So you go through that where you like, is the business going to get to the level where I dreamt it to get to? Like, is it going to get to where it needs to get to? And I guess that's always like a constant fear for me. And I guess it always like brings a dark shadow. Like, you know, it's like you're having arguments with yourself. Like, you know, and I remember I used to think this a lot, which I don't anymore. Like I'm still employable.
Yeah.
You know?
So
I'm
just gonna leave. Yeah.
I've got a great qualification, I've got some great work experience.
Yeah.
I could just go back.
Yeah.
But that is actually what kills you.
Yeah.
When you leave that like bridge still on connecting to, you know, like into the corporate world.
Yeah.
You always have an escape.
Have that safety net.
Yeah. It's like I used to watch a series called Vikings, and they would sometimes arrive in an area, like they would be taking or fighting, like they would arrive in the area and they want to obviously take over. And what they would do to show their soldiers there's no returning is they would burn the boats that they arrived in.
Yeah.
So mentally that like gives you a change to say, we are not going back.
Yeah.
We either make it or we die here.
Or we die, yeah.
So it's, for me, that I almost had to burn that mental bridge to say
I can't go back.
There's no going back here.
Yeah.
This is it. You've made your choice. You must go with it now.
Yeah.
And you must make it work. Come hell or high water, you're gonna have to make it work. Yeah. So I guess the darkest moment or the most difficult times, they still come up.
Yeah.
They still come up. It's like you build something, or it's also people. The one thing I've learned is that we run our business with our clients, right? And I say that in a good way, and I guess also in a bad way, because you realize the clients are actually quite demanding.
Yeah.
And they're like, but when are you guys doing this? And you're like, yeah, this requires money though. Like,
yeah.
When are you getting an app? Yeah.
An app?
It requires money.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
It requires money. So, but it's a good thing because they're constantly pushing us to also want to do better. Constantly pushing us. So yeah, I guess my darkest or toughest times happen
when you've got that doubt,
Yeah, when I have the doubts, which happens, every now and again.
Yeah.
I guess we're all human.
Yeah. So then, like, how important is your partner when you're having those moments, especially in entrepreneurship? Because I've heard stories like this.
Yeah.
I've heard stories. So guys married, newly married, decides he's going to take the leap, just like you, to say, I'm going to start my own thing.
Yeah.
And then now the wife is now comfortable with her lifestyle.
Yeah.
Comfortable that I've got the medical aid is there, the cars being paid off, the water, lights, electricity is being paid off every single year. We have our trip overseas or trip wherever. It's like a very certain and safe lifestyle. Now, Kagiso comes along and says, no, babe, I want to start this thing. By the way, that medical aid, by the way, how we're going to pay the rent, we don't know, but I'm still going to figure it out. So, and then some guys are in that position, their partner leaves them and say, well, this is not what I signed up for. So now your story is separate, it's different. It's the other way where you've got the support. So how important was that dynamic when you were like, I'm leaving to do this thing, and then
I think my wife has been like, I don't even really have words to describe. I think she's been highly supportive, extremely supportive from the beginning to this point. You know, if you've ever started a business, it's well, let me rather speak from my perspective. It was probably one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in my life. Because you're right, you leave a very comfortable life and you go into like this uncertainty of like every day is just very different and it's uncertain. There's a lot of things you don't know. You know, I think she's been extremely supportive from the first day till today, when, you know, we've had very dark moments within the business, where I've gone through very tough, dark moments within the business, and to when we've experienced, you know, our greatest successes. She's been very consistent and supportive. You know, there hasn't been a conversation from her perspective to say, maybe it's time for you to quit, or maybe it's time for you to you know, go find a job. You know, which is very encouraging. You know, I think, I guess it's very, like I said earlier, it's important the person you pick to spend the rest of your life with, because that person either holds you up or tears you down. You want to know that, you know, once you've had a long day and you get home and you maybe sitting in bed or you just having dinner, the person refuels you, you know, to be like, look, it was a tough day, but tomorrow's another day. You can go again and you can try.
Not have someone nagging in your ear.
Exactly, as opposed to someone nag. I mean, not that. I guess sometimes, you know, I guess it's a balancing. The person needs to know what really motivates you, and the nagging sometimes is important to maybe bring you back to reality, to say, look, this is maybe not working out. But, you know, the small incremental shifts forward, the small moves forward, you know, if they keep amplifying them and reassuring you, you also get confidence to go out there and, you know, because you know the person holding you up is also strong.
Yeah.
So you go out there and you go out there with confidence and you're able to execute without having a fear that when you get home, you're gonna be like, this person is gonna be complaining.
Yeah. So I have a war at work now. To have a war in the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my wife has been extremely supportive. Family's been supportive. I've had some really supportive friends as well that have backed my ideas or backed the business from the beginning, or my entrepreneurship attempts from the beginning.
So when did you fail?
A lot.
No, which was a failure where you were like, hey, I can't believe I failed here. And when you thought it was going to work out, like what was the first you thought it was going to work out and it just didn't work out at all?
I wouldn't. I can't off the top of my head. I can't remember exactly where it completely failed.
Yeah.
But I remember points where it partly failed, and I realized why it didn't go as successful as I wanted it to.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of lessons that I picked up. So I look at failure slightly differently.
Okay.
It's for me. It's like feedback. It's like, okay, this didn't work. And why didn't it work? This is why it didn't work. And then I make the changes. I've had so many ideas and so many models of how to do certain things. And some have worked, some haven't. But like now I know, okay, maybe that doesn't work in that context, but it might work in a separate context. I'll give you an example. So we've made changes to our website a couple of times, and the one change that we made, which I thought was going to be amazing, was probably one of the worst changes. Okay. To the website, like we had like very big client backlash where they were like, "We actually hate this. This is horrible."
Oh wow.
But what we then actually learned, what we got from that was we then got to engage with our clients properly, because typically when you send out a questionnaire, people don't fill it out. Yeah. But when you mess up their user experience, they will then tell you how they feel. Yeah, that's good. So then we had an opportunity to then engage with our clients at that point to say, okay, we understand you don't like this, but what do you like? Yeah. And then that's when, the feedback then started coming in to say, okay, we prefer this, we don't prefer this. So from that failure, there was a lot of valuable information that we gathered from there. So we use that to then propel ourselves forward.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So that ended up being a success at the end of the day.
It ended up being a success. Okay. But yeah, I think failure, it's like for me, I've learned that failure is it's part of becoming successful. You have to fail. You cannot not fail. And I've been quite lucky in my business attempts. The big now, but I don't know what's coming in the future. But the big failures or the big lessons or the big hits have come very early. The huge yes, like this will crush you. You might not be able to continue after this. They've come very early.
That's very fascinating, because a lot of people who start businesses almost say exactly the same thing. The thing that almost kills you is like just when you're starting.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it's weird. It's like the universe has it constantly tests you. It's like, do you really want to do this? Yes. Are you sure? Yeah. It's like a test. Like in school, like when you're in grade 1, grade 2, you do weekly tests. It's like that. Yeah. It's like every week there's something new. Yeah. And it's like, hey, are you sure you still want to do this?
And then luckily you were like, yes, and not other people who were like, hey.
Yeah. No, it's I always say that you could do anything you want business-wise. Yeah. You could sell pencils if you wanted to. Yes. But the difference is resilience and you need to be very persistent, because you're gonna go through very quiet, dark times. It's just like it feels like the universe really tests you. It's like it separates the weak to the strong. It's okay, the weak fall aside. It's like when you're running a marathon, everyone starts off quick. Yeah. Right? 5 kilometers later, there's different packs now. Yeah. Like there are leaders, there's people in the middle, there are those in the back that are like, yo.
And
This
there's
is
one
tough.
guy who's still sprinting. I'm like, what is going on?
Exactly. And then 10 kilometers later, you start seeing the packs also separate even further. So the further you get down, like the further, the more kilometers go by, it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then at the end, it's a group of 10, 15 people racing.
Yeah.
It's for the first position. And it's business is very much also like that. It's really an endurance game. And I guess that's also why I enjoy running. I mean, I'm not a runner. I always tell my wife I hate running, but I do it because running is not really about running. It's about the mental. It's your ability to constantly.
You spend a lot of time with Bongani. Actually, he said the same thing when he was on the show.
Really?
He said exactly the same thing. He said exactly the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not about running. It's really it's a mind thing. It's your ability to endure. To endure being uncomfortable for a prolonged period of time, and still be able to tell yourself that you can do it.
Yeah.
And that's what that's what running really is. It's not about the time or the distance. It's really about, can I do this?
Yeah.
And push myself and motivate myself.
Yeah. So when you were starting out, what was the thing that almost crushed you?
So
you don't have to give details, but
I won't give details. I think
fit you.
when you work with people, you sometimes realize that you're not aligned in where you want to take the business.
Okay.
And you might pull in different directions. And some people are in business to feed themselves for today. And not, the analogy I use, not plant for the future. They want to eat everything right now.
They want to eat all the apple seeds.
Exactly. And that's really what happened, where, the people that we were in business with were extremely short-sighted and basically ate all the apples right there and then. And it's like, but we have no seeds for the next season. This is a problem. That really almost crushed us. That almost put us in a situation where we could not recover. But we're thankful that we were able to continue and for us to get to this point. But working with people, it's a challenge.
It's
people
hard.
Are different.
Hey, people, eh?
Hey,
You
people
learn, eh? You learn. I work as a project management professional in IT. You can imagine all the stress that comes in, and the number one thing that is killing me. Not killing me, is a struggle. If you get this right, you'll be fine, is working with the people.
Exactly.
Clients who complain, the people don't want to do the work. Now you dying for the sins of the world, and then, So how do you deal with the difficult people and clients? Especially with the clients that complain. I can imagine that they're white, because white people know how to complain. They complain well.
No, they have PhDs.
The professor complains. It's like as if they have a course when they learn how to complain.
So I'm fortunate enough that I started my working career in a call center.
Oh yeah.
So you can just imagine the complaints that
what
you
would
get.
they call you for the call center?
So basically, clients would call us. It's like a basic obviously a bank, and a card wouldn't be working. They can't log into their online banking. They can't pay something. Their card's declining. All sorts of different things. And I think it's probably one of the most embarrassing things when you've got money in your card but it's declining, and you're at a till and they're like, bruh, your card's not working. You don't have money. So obviously, the client is calling in hot at that point to be like, what the hell is going on? You're making me look like a fool here.
You know what I would have done? Like if a person was calling and they said my card is declining, I would have been like, "Wits I
would have been fired if
That would have been funny.
I was like, why are you buying things when you know you don't have money?
Okay,
So we dealt with heavy complaints. So now the complaints I deal with sometimes are a lot, but I've had so much experience now dealing with complaints.
And like,
look, as long as I have no issue when a client calls and complains and we are in the wrong. I have no issue acknowledging that, apologizing, and then we rectify. But you sometimes find that the client is also in the wrong, and it's important for you to. It's how you tell them
Yeah.
It's an education moment. It's like, okay, I hear that you're really upset at the moment, but the issue is that you entered the wrong password. So you entered the wrong password. Everything works. It's just the password you used was incorrect. So maybe next time the password, maybe try use a more familiar password, and you won't have this issue. But complaints literally don't get to me. You know, it's like just like a duck. You know, the water rolls off my back, and I move on. And complaints are also a form of feedback. You know, maybe we need to be clearer in the password section to say, hey, enter a password that you will need this password. Don't forget it. So it's more feedback. It's really how you take it.
Okay. No, that's good. So like in terms of like raising capital for SV Capital. That's an interesting thing. How do you go about raising capital for SV Capital? And then off the back of that, I want to talk about what the South African government is not necessarily doing well to aid people wanting to start their own business, whatever type of business it is.
So I sold a kidney. I'm kidding.
How do you raise capital, folks? Sell a kidney.
Sell a kidney, guys. They're worth a lot. No, I'm teasing. So we were fortunate that the way we had structured SV Capital was not to require a lot of capital.
Okay.
A lot of the money was our own cash that we used. You know, it was our savings that we had, you know, our life savings.
You and your partners.
I've got a business partner, Ayanda.
Ayanda.
So Ayanda is the CEO of SV Capital. We started together.
And your role is?
So my role is COO.
COO.
Yeah.
You're the crew.
But you know, titles are just
it's formalities.
It's formalities.
Yeah,
we basically do everything. You know? I guess from a work perspective, there's things that she's really specifically really good at, and there's things I'm really good at. So I deal with the operations, more of the actual on the ground operations for the business.
I should invite her on the show. Ayanda, this is an official invite.
Yeah, you should invite her. You should definitely invite her.
Yeah.
So we used our own cash that we saved up to start the company, which I guess at the time was interesting because it's like, okay, I've put this money away for something. I guess this is the something. So we use our own cash, and we to this day we still haven't raised money from anyone else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we
self-funded.
Okay. It's been bootstrapped from day one.
Okay, that's good.
From day one.
So, like, would you consider funding from other sources?
We actually are looking currently for funding from other sources, you know, because I guess you get to a point where you realize that you need other people's money, or you need people to assist you from a capital perspective in order to get the business to where you want it to get to. So we are going through a process now of raising money. And in different ways, in different instruments, debt, equity. We open to different instruments. It's obviously depends who it comes from.
It depends. Let's get into that.
It depends who that money comes from.
Yeah, I actually need to do a lot more studying on like the nitty-gritty finance stuff when it comes to business, because my mind works high level. This is where you want to go. That's strategy, but like all the detail stuff, I need some assistance there. So like, what are the different instruments are available from a raising capital perspective? And which one is optimal for you?
So I think that what is it? They call it the 3 Fs: friends, fools, and what is it called? Family.
Family, friends, and fools.
Yeah, family, friends, and fools. So that's probably the best one, the most optimal one. If you're raising money from family, friends, and fools, because
where are the fools?
They're everywhere. I'm kidding.
I'm gonna find them. Get me more studio equipment.
I guess. Well, they call them fools, but I guess I call them early adopters.
Early adopters.
So people that have foresight and back you and say, look, this is actually a really great idea. We back it, and here's the money. Or they call them angel investors. Also in some cases.
Why do they call them angel investors? That they might not get their money back. And
like an angel does things out of the good of their heart. It's not like,
so it's charity.
Yeah, it's not like I expect you to give my cash back. It's like, you know what?
I believe in you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be like your guardian angel.
So it's charity.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't call it charity because
I'm joking.
I wouldn't call it charity. I guess they see their returns in a different way.
In a different way.
Yeah,
Okay.
like if your business has a social impact element to it, they're like,
Okay.
well, the return is me actually helping these guys impact more lives, as opposed to me giving money to a charity and not really, trickling down to the people that really need it. So yeah, I think raising money from the 3 F's is probably the best way. I will tell you right now,
Yes.
raising money from a bank is a joke.
Is it a joke?
It's a joke.
Why is it a joke?
Like they want your firstborn child, they want you sign over your organs.
Is it?
It's not
Because
just that.
you see,
Banks,
yeah.
banks are structured, and this is. I mean, I worked in a bank, and I didn't realize this until having to
Yeah.
start a business. But banks are risk adverse. Banks will give you money for something that is definitely gonna have a payout, a payday. That excludes 95% of all businesses, right?
Come on,
Because
like,
they don't take risks.
Why?
Because they're not in the business of taking risks.
Okay.
They're not risk takers.
Yeah.
They're super risk adverse.
Is that why, like, as an employee, like, let's say an employee wants a home loan or a personal loan, they're gonna ask you all these questions, like a 3-month balance.
Exactly, yeah.
So they know that you're going to pay this money off,
Exactly.
and then they'll go and put in like what's this, credit insurance in your
Exactly,
thing. So that
yeah.
they know if you default, they're going
Life
to get
insurance even, they like, okay, for your property we want life insurance and you must cede it to us in case you die. We don't want a situation. They must pay us first.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So banks are extremely risk adverse. They are not about taking risks at all.
That's crazy.
And people think that, oh no, a bank, like when you're in school, they teach you, well, you write a business plan, you go to a bank, you sit with the bank, you tell them your business plan, and then they will give you funding. That's not true.
It's not true.
Well, at least in this country, it's not true.
So
Definitely not true. Yeah.
So what
so-
happens? Like, what happens?
So typically, a bank will only give you, or in my experience, will give you funding provided that there's very big security behind the money. So they'll say, okay, cool, Kagiso, we'll give you 4 million rand for SV Capital, but you need to give us your house as security though. If things go bad, we take your house. So now and this is why the big conversation
You have
around
a 4
black
million
people
house?
not
No, I'm joking.
owning. No, right.
I'm kidding.
I don't yet.
Yeah.
This is why the issue with black people not owning any land and property to say, well, they have no collateral, they have no assets to use in a bank, and that's why white people that have big farms can then
I
use
see.
those to leverage to get money from the bank.
The penny dropped for me now.
Yeah, so that's why there's like that big argument on all those conversations to say the redistribution of land because it's important, right? Because that's an asset. You can use that to generate more money.
More wealth. Okay.
Yeah. So banks typically will not look at you unless you've got assets already, which is funny when you really think about it. It's like, I need money, but in order for me to get money from you, I need to have money.
So guys, like, let me see. So exactly what SA is really getting wrong in terms of like funding entrepreneurs, because we're not alike to an employer. Employer is different to the employee is different to an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, you asked a question earlier about the South African government, what they're doing or what they're not doing from assisting entrepreneurs perspective. I think there's government for me.
Be careful, they'll cancel you. No, I'm joking.
They can cancel me.
Let's get into it.
Government for me is should be an enabler.
Okay.
For a lot of things. It should be enabling people and business to thrive.
Yeah.
But I think our government has enabled a certain part of the white part of the population, has given them the ammo, the weapons and everything for them to do really well, and has continuously just left the black people in the dark. The reason I say that is we've just had a conversation about banks now and how banks are structured, right? Banks are essentially the guys who control money flow in this country. If banks are not lending to people without assets, which in this case are black,
Yes.
what it means is that as a black person, when you want to start a company, it's going to become very difficult for you to raise capital.
True.
Now, the government has been talking about we want to have a state-owned bank. The government itself needs permission from the existing banks to open a bank.
So what's the chances of them getting that permission?
Exactly.
So that's like structurally
So from
flawed as well.
Yeah, so it's like South Africa. I mean, there's a lot to talk about the government, but the South African government has given the private institutions, private companies, a lot of power to do a lot of things. You know, the banking sector or the bank association is basically run by the banks.
Okay.
Government does not necessarily. I wouldn't say government doesn't have a say. Government can suggest things, but at the end of the day, they execute. You know, I mean, we're in 2020 now.
Yeah.
And when you want to talk about a black-owned bank, there's none. Petrus Motsepe owns a part of Time Bank, but there's a very specific reason why he owns a part of it and not all of it.
Why doesn't
he's got money?
I used to think he owned the entire thing, but he owns a
part of it.
Yeah.
So Time Bank.
Do you know how much of it does he own?
I'm not sure exactly the percentage, but I think over 20%.
Okay.
Just over 20%. But Time Bank is built on the back of banking license from, I think it's Bank of Athens or Commonwealth Bank of Australia or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But he does not fully own Time Bank. And obviously I don't know his bank balance and I don't know his wealth status, but maybe from my understanding is he definitely does have the ability to run his own bank. And there's a lot of people that have the ability to run their own bank. But there's something small, just a little one-liner in South Africa when you want to open your own bank that the existing banks must agree. So it's basically like, if you want to open a spaza shop next to mine,
I must agree.
The spaza shop must agree. So I must agree to say, yeah, you can.
In the interest of competition, I'm going to say no.
Exactly. So that's why banks are oligopolies, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't compete against each other. They've all carved out a specific part of the market for themselves.
Yeah.
And they're okay. They don't have to advertise aggressively like Nando's does. They don't need to do that. It's like, we're going to make money, all of us anyway.
Yeah.
Because we all sit around the table and say, okay, Njabulo, your market is the poor blacks.
Yeah.
So as Capitec, you take them. And you, RMB, your market is the rich whites, old Afrikaans money.
Yeah.
You take them, deal with them.
Yeah.
And they basically carve it out that way. They sometimes cross, but they are cool. It's just like, no, we're cool, no problem. I mean, sometimes we'll cross, there'll be some issues, but we're good.
I heard because I was running some projects for some of these major banks, and then I heard that one stakeholder was like, no, sorry, the CEO's busy in a meeting. What does this mean? Where is this meeting happening? It's happening at a certain location. I'm like, who's in this meeting? The CEOs of other banks.
Yeah.
I'm like, how? What are they all talking about?
But it's crazy. It's like they're friends. It's the same as if you think of it in a sports perspective. Just because we play against each other and you play, let's say, for Man United and I play for Chelsea.
Wait. I play for Chelsea.
Okay.
You can play for Man United.
I play for Arsenal. See,
I don't like your rating. I don't like your rating. But I get you.
Yeah, London rivalry.
Yeah.
And maybe we've been boys from back in the day.
Yeah.
We can play against each other. Whoever wins or loses, we can still go grab a beer afterwards.
Yeah.
There's no issue. And that's really what it's like in the banking sector. But where I think a lot of us young entrepreneurs or black people get it wrong is that we go against each other until we draw blood. We don't understand that, okay, we can keep pushing each other from a business perspective, but there needs to be a time where we sit and actually talk about how do we take this industry, how do we keep this industry amongst ourselves and move it forward and make sure we create a barrier to entry, exactly how the banks have. Yeah. Right? The best way to create a barrier to entry into any industry, I'll give you this free advice. You create an association.
Okay.
That's it, right?
Association.
So
you
can create
association, insurance association, fashion association.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and what do? They influence policy.
Yeah.
They write their own policy. Right? For example, to call yourself a chartered accountant in South Africa, you need to be part of SAICA.
SAICA, yeah.
The South African Chartered Accountants Association.
Yeah.
but they're basically like a private association. It's not government run.
Yeah.
But they then influence government standards, accounting principles and standards. So then they decide who becomes a chartered accountant, who doesn't.
Yeah.
They decide who they disbar, who they don't disbar. So I could have studied the same course as you, but I'm not part of that association.
Yeah.
I cannot call myself a chartered accountant.
True.
So you've already created a barrier to an industry.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, that's what happens in these industries. If you look at industries where black people cannot get in or struggle to get in, they are very strong associations. Engineering, strong associations. Accounting, strong associations. Banking, strong associations, which have power because they organized. Right? I mean, you go back into history, for any change to take place, organization had to happen.
Yeah.
Apartheid to end, black people had to organize.
Yeah.
For slavery to end, black people had to organize and get into an organization, an association.
Yeah.
And that's from a business perspective. If black people want to get into banking, they need to actually organize. But that is not a strong point. We're really good at not being organized.
Yeah.
That is like,
that's our unique selling proposition.
That's our selling proposition.
We're not organized.
We are not organized. We don't speak, we don't sing off the same hymn sheet.
No, we don't.
If you throw 1 rand, I will kill anyone here for that, you know? And it's happened so many times where an idea has started out really well.
True.
Right? Like the ANC, great principles initially, but now we have a situation.
Yeah.
You know? And the situation we have is money rules them, right? So money rules a lot of the people that are in there. They're not making decisions based on bettering the future of this country and the next generation of people. They're making decisions based on how much can I eat now while I'm here. And that's where the problem comes in. We are not organized, and we don't follow through completely to, you know, to the plan. We start off really well, and then you just throw a spanner in the works, and it ends. It falls apart.
Yeah, like the other white people, I'm like, look at them.
Yeah, it really.
They say, look at them.
That's really what it's like. You know, like I always say, you know, my mother-in-law always says, we are all responsible for our own race.
Yeah.
You know, so you see a black person not doing well, or you see a black person doing rubbish, it's also a reflection on you, right? It's like, dude, but like, why you are representing us?
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you represent your family, you carry your family's name.
Yeah, very true.
You go out there and you do rubbish. It's like
how?
Do your parents really deserve this? Like,
and then,
you know, like, do they deserve this kind of behavior?
Yeah.
You know, so it's really the same thing for me. I'm just like, when you're out there, you're representing.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm in a foreign country, if I'm in Nigeria, if I'm in Kenya, if I'm in Malawi, I'm a representative of South Africa.
True.
I might not believe necessarily with how the South African government is executing,
but
out there it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm a representative of South Africa. I can be highly critical of them, but I cannot be critical and not be doing anything. So I'm not going to be a couch coach where I'm just like, these guys are lazy. You know, what am I doing from my perspective? What is my business doing to address the socioeconomic issues in this country, on this continent? You know, how am I helping?
Yeah.
'Cause it's easy to talk, but the doing is the difficult part.
Yeah, so the part where you got very passionate about was like the fact that we can't organize, but like more not necessarily as black people, but in terms of like just entrepreneurship. Is there an entrepreneurship association where like entrepreneurs get together and organize like the banking association, the chartered accountants association? Does that exist?
Look, maybe it does. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I just don't know it.
You just don't know about it.
I just don't know.
So if you don't know
about
it, probably doesn't then.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe if it does,
let us know. Please, let us know.
Yeah, I'll be keen to see. But I definitely think, I mean, not just even from an entrepreneurship perspective, but there's so many new businesses coming up right now. So many black people going into business, like very niche businesses, but we don't organize. Like we see each other as threats rather than as someone that we can go through a journey of building an industry with.
Yeah, and we don't think multiply, right?
No, we don't. We just like, I want this whole industry for myself.
Yeah.
And practically speaking, it's not possible.
Yeah, you can't have everything.
If you're doing well, there's going to be new entrants.
Yeah.
But you would rather say, I mean, if the new entrant is Njabulo, you invite him to the table and you say, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, these are the current players at the moment.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. So I need to know what you're doing. You need to know what I'm doing. So we keep it amongst ourselves. But, you know, we don't do that well enough, you know? Like, I'll give you another example. So the spaza shop industry in the townships.
Yeah.
That is case in point. South Africans obviously started off spaza shop industry in the township, but basically, in my view, got lazy, right? The Somalians or whoever came in and were like, you know, we can actually take over this industry and organize ourselves.
Yes.
And what they have done is great, because what they've done is to say, okay, if we are in Meadowlands, all the Somalian spaza shops in Meadowlands, instead of you going to Cambridge to go buy your rice, let's rather buy it together in bulk and have bulk discount. And now we have got power because we're buying in quantums. Prices come down and it benefits everyone. So they then organize themselves, and then that's what they're doing now, right? We're all going to use the same distribution. We're going to use the same company that is going to deliver. We're going to share delivery costs. We're going to share costs for admin, share costs for everything. So at the end of the day, you make more margins.
Yeah.
Right? Now, they've really organized really well, and they're doing pretty well at that. You know, like, why can't we do that? When you see a spaza shop down the road, it's like you are an enemy as opposed to you are a potential, like, you know, a potential friendly. You're a potential someone that, you know, we buy our stuff from the same places. Why are we using two cars? Exactly. Your car's not full, mine's not full. Let's just use one. But we don't do that. You know, something so basic as that. We just see each other as big threats as opposed to.
Where does this mindset come from?
I think for me, the mindset comes from the segregation of black people. So obviously, South African history, we were segregated according to the tribe that you are from.
Your Xhosa, your Pedi,
So if you look at Soweto specifically, Soweto, Meadowlands, like Zone 5, you'll find maybe the Shangani people. Zone 8, Pedis. Zone 7, Tsongas and Vendas in Zone 7. So, and then what they would do is like, you know, they're like, okay, well, this tribe is better than this tribe, right? So the white man will tell you, the Zulus are better than any other tribe, more superior. Right? So any other tribe is inferior. So we prefer the Zulus to run things here. We'll give weapons to Zulu people as opposed to anyone else. You know, so it comes from that. It comes from that. So it's like, you will never see me working with a Tsonga person. I can't. And that's what happens, right? So you're now in business, and then the person's like, no, I'm Tsonga, and you're like, you are what?
I'm not working with this guy.
I'm not working with you, bro.
But then this guy could literally put you on in terms of good business, but you can't see past that.
I'll even take it a step further. Look at government. Nelson Mandela's government, Thabo Mbeki's government, Jacob Zuma's government.
All of them different.
Yeah, they're different because he's just like, hey, this is the Zulu, the Zulus are here now. So now we want to take over all departments. As opposed to, who is the best person?
Who's the most qualified?
Who's the most qualified to do this? So tribalism is I think is a big factor. We might not say it a lot, but I really think tribalism contributes a lot to some of the maybe subconscious decision making when it comes to, I guess, everyday decisions in business. You know, you're like, okay, I don't trust this guy, I trust this guy, but...
Well, that's not a very smart way to do business, right?
It's not a smart way. I mean, I'll give you... Look at Afrikaans people and English people. So from a South African history perspective, the Afrikaners and the English hated each other. They fought. Right? Because the English fought the Afrikaners, Jan van Riebeeck and his boys that came here on the ship. The English came, they're like, we also want a piece of this pie, and they were like, what the hell? And then war broke out here, concentration camps, all that story. But yet, look at a business deal. They will strike, they will shake hands and do business together. Even knowing their background, that we actually hate each other. But they've got a common enemy, right? And the common enemy is the black man. As long as we are doing well, this guy we must keep on me on his neck continuously, as long as he's not rising. So we will bond over our common hate, our common dislike. And that's what we fail to do. We just wherever the wind blows us is where we go.
Like even in corporates, they'll always choose each other.
Yeah.
They'll always choose
Always.
each other.
Always.
All the time.
And it's also like you look at Indians,
Yeah.
right? Or always back each other. Always.
They may hate each other's guts.
Exactly.
But
They will go to the wire for each other.
Yeah.
But us, we just like, no, hey, fire Njabulo first. Hey,
I'm gonna sell him out. I'm gonna sell him
sell
out
this guy out
properly.
because then I'm gonna be that guy, right? I'm gonna be, I think we get off on being the only black.
Yeah.
It's like
first black.
I'm the
the
first
only
black. Yeah, I'm the first black person.
best one.
To do this.
Yeah.
And then you close the door, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, no other blacks.
Yeah.
Then you feel threatened when another black walks into it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Tabo, me Tepo, me Chipu,
Me Chepe.
yeah, me Chepo, and you're like, hey.
Yeah, I must be the only one here.
I'm the only one here.
You know, Malcolm X said something very interesting about that. He was educating me, so his YouTube video was educating me about, he was talking about the house Negro and the field Negro.
Yeah.
The house Negro mentality was that I'm the only one in this house. I'm the only one on my job. I'm the only one in this place. You're nothing more than a house Negro. Versus the field Negro is like, let's all go out together. And like, if I'm going to leave this place of oppression, doesn't matter where I go, but any place is better than here. The house Negro will be like, what's a better place than this? Where am I going to live a better life than this? So that mentality is house Negro mentality. To say,
and it's perpetuated now in modern day slavery.
Yeah, modern day slavery, Where I'm the only one on my job. I'm the only one, and now you take pride with that.
But then they hire another one, and you're like, did I do something wrong?
Like, we just need capacity, guys. Why are you so insecure with yourself?
But why did you hire another black? Why couldn't you just hire a white? Like, I'm the only one here.
You want capacity. And honestly, like, to be fair to some employers out there, they sometimes want to look past the whole color barrier. Now they're like, I want to hire the most qualified person. And sometimes it will be a black person, sometimes it will be a white person. And just to be fair to them, they do look past the color barrier. But
but also if you just look back, if you track back, you can't cut my legs off and say that I want a runner with 2 legs. Exactly. And then when but the runners with 1 leg are just like, but you cut my leg. So what must I?
So that's a double whammy.
Yeah, it's like, what must I do then? Yeah. So like, I have no issues with affirmative action.
Yes.
I think it's done properly. I think I think done properly, it definitely has value.
Yes.
Done properly.
Yeah.
But I just think that the government does not enforce. It does not enforce the rule. I mean, back to the government again. Does not enforce the BE rules, right?
Properly,
I mean, companies circumvent them and they use loopholes to benefit themselves. I think if you want to call yourself a responsible corporate citizen in South Africa, your company should reflect the demographics of the country. You cannot have a company that has over 100 employees and only 2% or 3% are black, where in a country of over 85% of the population is black. That's disgusting. Yeah. So what you're basically saying is none of the natives here are actually qualified to be it. Your company which runs in South Africa, does not reflect the demographics of the country. Yeah. I mean, try that shit in Europe and tell me how that works out. It's not going to work out. It's not going to work. Yeah. So when you try to rectify it here, you get pushback. To say, but you can't do that, that's wrong. But if you did it in Europe, you get smacked for that. Properly. So the same rules don't apply to us because why? Yeah. Because it just is. We will take, we like I said, we don't stand very firmly on our principles and we don't execute the plan till the end. All it takes is to pay off one guy just for him to eat, him and his family to eat, and he's okay with the rest of the other blacks starving to death. He's okay with that. And we've seen it play out on the African continent over and over again, right? In a lot of African countries, in the Nigerias, in the Sudans, in the Congos, the Malawis, Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Africa, we've seen it play out, where the president will enrich himself to a point where him and his family are the only ones looked after, and everyone else in the country is literally starving to death. There's a reason why they executed guys like what's his name now, Thomas Sankara. There's a reason why they ended.
Which country was that?
Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso, okay, yeah.
There's a reason why, because of the way he thought. as a leader
Yeah.
was almost, I wouldn't say uncorruptible, but was in a way where he was like, I am like the people. I don't need to drive a Bentley or a Mercedes for me to be a president. I actually must be accessible to the people. The people must know that I'm like them. You know, I'm like, I will only consume stuff made from Burkina Faso. I'll only wear clothes that are made from Burkina Faso. You know, we currently in South Africa have got a president that talks about reviving the manufacturing industry. But if you ask him where his suit is made, or where your shoes are made from, it's a joke. It's like
Armani smacks, bro.
Yeah, but it's a joke.
Those are good suits.
They're good suits, but you cannot be the commander in chief and say you want to revive the textile industry in this country. And what you then do is you go on TV wearing threads made in Europe.
Yeah.
What are you saying to me?
Yeah.
You cannot be having
contradictory message.
Exactly. You cannot be having parties with your comrades and you guys are wearing Gucci, Armani, Versace.
And where you are saying you want to have...
Exactly. Where the same minister who's in charge of the trade and affairs or whatever is the guy wearing these Armani suits, but he's in charge of rolling out the plan of reviving the textile industry and manufacturing.
There's disconnect.
There's a disconnect. You can't tell me that you want to revive the manufacturing industry, but your whole fleet is German cars. You're telling me South Africa's not at the stage where we can actually make our own cars?
We can.
I mean, we make BMWs in PE.
Yeah.
So clearly, there's the ability to. Yeah. Why can't we just make our own brand of cars? Like, why are we constantly importing?
I don't have an answer to that.
I also don't have the answer. I've got the questions though. You know?
German cars are nice.
German cars are nice. Yeah. But I would, if it was a South African car, I'd definitely give it a shot.
I'd drive. Yeah.
You know?
I've recently started this whole thing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start only buying South African made clothing. Like recently I started buying myself Batu shoes. I
saw the picture you posted of the Batu shoes.
Yeah, no, the good shoes, Like I don't know why it took so long for me to buy them. Yeah, definitely, it's good. It's good. So I said when I went to the store, I said, okay, right, I've been procrastinating on this for the past 3 years, right? Give me the best Batu shoes and how do they work? And the person told me the entire story of them. I'm like, okay, and like these are good, and they're actually good quality shoes.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, then the person helping me was like, yeah, if you want to go buy other shoes, don't only buy to go to like there's other South African manufacturers like Makosa and the other South African manufactured shoes. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start buying this.
But it's not, what I find is it's not easy because they're not easily accessible, right? So it's like if I went down to the store, I wouldn't maybe typically find the shoes there being, being stocked by South African retailers.
Yeah, you need to go to an actual store.
You need to go to like a specialist store, that actual store, you know? So, but I mean, it's also, I agree, it's not an excuse. We should support our own. Yeah. You know, but it comes down to what we've been saying. Typically, like, I'm not giving my money to this guy. Yeah, exactly. He's just like me. Why would I do that?
Yeah. And then also, like, I was also thinking realistically. I can't buy everything that's South African made because right now this is a MacBook Pro.
Exactly.
This is Behringer. Like all these other brands. So like where South African brands are not there, I can't buy because the South African brands are not there. Yeah. So wherever I can, I will.
But we need to get to that stage. Yeah. You know, that's the thing. You look at Europe, a lot of the Scandinavian countries, back in the day, they weren't at a stage where they had their own brands. They were importing a lot of stuff. And now they're exporting a lot because they have built those industries within themselves. Yeah. And what they've done is they've placed import taxes, heavy tariffs on imported stuff. So if we know that, okay, we make socks in South Africa, any imported socks you like literally tax like 80%. You add an 80% tax on them because that will discourage people from importing them and buying local stuff. You know, but as South Africans, and there's a very specific reason why we don't do those things is because we're still owned by Europeans. Yeah, that's why our markets are owned by Europeans, and we are scared. That's where our money comes from. You know, so we do that. They will retaliate by not giving us money. Yeah, so the rand is just against the dollar has gone to. I mean,
now it's 20 rand to the dollar.
And it's funny, you know, like I always used to be like, my grandmother used to ask me, "What does that mean?" And I'm just like, to be honest with you, it's very difficult for me to explain it to you what it means, you know, because what it means is basically that for the South Africans that have purchasing power that want to purchase outside of South Africa, it's just more expensive.
Yeah.
But for you, I mean, it's really
nothing. No,
it really doesn't mean nothing except for if we're importing that food or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't really mean much. And also the South African government holds foreign debt. So if they hold debt in dollars and now all of a sudden the rand blows out, what it means is that they have to repay back more rands for the dollars that they had. So that's a problem for them, you know. But for the average South African walking on the street, you know, that's why, what's her name? Mama Action.
Mama Action.
What's her name?
Mama Action.
Nomvula Mukanyane.
That name sounds familiar.
Nomvula, she's, I don't know what role she holds now in government, but there was a rally that they held once upon a time, a couple of years ago, where she was like, if the rand falls, we will pick it up. You know, like, I initially laughed when I heard that.
Serious?
I was like, why would you say something like that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But then I got to think about it like, okay, I actually understand from her perspective, she might not understand what the implications of that are completely.
Yeah.
But she shares the same narrative as probably most South Africans do, to be like, but why is it falling? Just pick it up, guys.
Because they don't really understand.
Exactly. You know? Rand is falling against the dollar. It's just like, but why is it against the dollar, firstly? You know?
Actually, a question for you. So who are the top 5 South Africans for you now? That you would like, that you look up to? The guys are people doing some real stuff in SA to move South Africa forward. Like, who are the top 5 South Africans for you, if you pondered that question?
It's difficult for me to. I struggle to answer these type of questions because I don't necessarily know the people. Like, I don't know them. You know, I would rather.
You know of them.
I know of them, but I don't know them, which is two different things.
Like
you know
that you know of. Yeah.
So I think for me it would be some of my colleagues. So the colleagues in the line of business that we are in the fintech business and the crowdfunding business, you know, some companies that are doing really well, a company by the name of TPF, the People's Fund, which is run by a guy by the name of Njabulo James. They're doing really well. They've done some really amazing things. Also, an organization called Thud, they've done really well.
Dinner, right?
Yeah, the hookup dinner with Lebo.
Yeah.
So I think they've done really well. I guess for me to define or to look up to someone, you know, I think I look up to people that I guess that I interact with very often. So like members of my own family, you know. You know, I look up to my grandparents. I mean, they're both no longer alive. My grandparents from my dad's side, both not alive. I grew up with them, but I look up to them because they came from a very small village in Limpopo and managed to find themselves in Soweto in Johannesburg and to actually help springboard or to help build like what our family is today, you know, which is quite spread out, you know, like some of the people that grew up in the house in Soweto live in the UK and like they're really doing well. They've done really well for themselves. So I look up to them for the sacrifices they made for us to be able to experience or to live the life that we live today. You know, I look up to my parents for the sacrifices that they made raising 3 kids and taking us all through school, good schools at that, and through university. You know, I look up to some of my friends that have, you know, experienced you know, a lot of Bongane, you know, one of them where, you know, he's an interesting character. From what he studied to where he wants to go is almost two remotely different things. Yeah, you know. But for the mere fact that he perseveres every day and he pushes to learn, you know, the amount of reading he does. So I guess I draw my inspiration from different people at different times, you know, depending on what it is. But I prefer drawing my inspiration to people that are relatable and people that I can contact and sit with, and people that can constantly refuel me, as opposed to looking at a celebrity. Because I think what I've noticed is we don't really know people.
True.
What they portray to what they really are could be two separate things. And I don't want to necessarily be here and be like, I look up to X, Y, and Z. Next thing, this guy is a wife beater there. He's doing all the rubbish, you know? And then one day they pull this interview and they're like, yeah, but this guy aligns to his values.
Yeah, exactly. But you didn't actually say that.
You know, this guy aligns to this guy's values.
So therefore he's a wife beater.
Exactly. Therefore, he condones his behavior by association. So I don't want to get to that point.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I would rather just the people that I look up to are, for me, people that are making real change. You know, not people starting a hashtag and
That's fair.
and hoping the hashtag feeds the nation or something. I don't know.
That's funny. That's good. That's very noble. That is very noble. Because I also found that, you know, like I used to hero worship a lot. I used to hero worship a lot. And then when I actually met the heroes, I was like, one of these is not like the other. And I'm like, can't do J. But you're this person. Now my entire reality is dashed. And then I went back and I read a book on leadership, that when people were asked who's like the leader that you look up to, people, you expect them to say, like, you know, Mandela, Martin Luther King, all these great names. So like most of the leaders that people look up to are local, like what you're saying. Leadership is more local. You look up to your church leader, you look up to your parents, you look up to a cousin or someone that you actually know that's making that impact to you. So that's actually quite interesting. So what's a piece of advice that you give someone who's struggling with the concept of money, chelete? What is that piece of advice? Because you've learned a lot about it.
Yeah.
You've managed to do well, but like, so what's that piece of advice that you give to people who's struggling with money?
I would say, I would say, if you can't explain a concept to a 5-year-old, I need to actually stop saying 5-year-old, because then I typically say 5-year-old and my nephew, who's now 6, turning 7.
Okay.
So to a 6-year-old now, if you can't explain the concept to a 6-year-old of money, you don't understand it yourself. I think that's the best, for me, the best advice when it comes to money, when it comes to anything to do with money or an investment. If you cannot explain it to a 6-year-old and for them to understand it, you do not understand it yourself. You know, because if you understand something, you should be able to teach someone else. If you can't, it means that you don't have a really good grasp of it. And I think from a money perspective, it's very difficult. I don't tell people what to do with their money, but I think the principles of money are the same and they're consistent throughout, very much like the principles of like the universe and the principles of nature. I'll refer back to my apple analogy. If you're gonna plant a seed for an apple tree, it requires patience. The tree is not gonna grow tomorrow. It requires you to water it and to look after it. And it might so happen that once the tree is starting to grow, there might be some really strong winds. But you're going to have to be patient until it gets to a stage where it's bearing fruit. And I guess from an investment perspective, the fruits are the returns or the interest that you get paid. You can choose to eat some of it, or you take some of it and you reinvest it, replanting, the seeds from that apple. Because if you eat all of them, then you're going to have a bit of a problem, But I really think money is not a very difficult concept to understand. I think it's also, it's an energy. If you exert energy, you must obviously get paid for it. The principle of you exert more energy, you must get paid more for it. You exert less energy, you must expect to get paid less for it. So I think we really all understand money. It's just that we do not see the link between the principles of nature and to money. It really runs on the same principles. Runs on the exact same principles. So if you understand how that works and you understand how food grows, you have no issues with money. You just need to really apply the same concepts to it.
So that's how you're able to turn down like 150 billion rand.
Yeah, well, because easy come, easy go, as I said. But I guess, the energy that it comes with might not be worth it. 150 billion rand is not worth my sanity, and
as you've mentioned
my
before.
loss of sleep, and my, it's not worth all of that.
But do you know how many German cars you could buy that take away jobs from South Africans?
Well, it's a good thing that I don't really like German cars much. So. I don't like German cars much, but yeah, I think we as people need to, especially as South Africans and as Africans, need to start thinking about the next generation of people that are coming, as opposed to thinking about ourselves. Because when you think about yourself, making these kind of decisions, money decisions, becomes easy because you can just sell out yourself, right? But what you're not realizing is you're selling out the future generations of people. So when you are doing things to better your whole race, or you're doing things to better the next generation and to set them up properly, it becomes a very different story. You start seeing things differently. You start seeing that I can take this 2 million rand now and maybe sell my soul for it, and the next generation of people will start from zero. As opposed to, I can say no to it. Sure, I might have some headwinds, but the next generation of people start at 1.
At 0.
And they can build from 1 as opposed to 0. So that's definitely, I think, what we need to do as Africans. And I think we need, as Africans, as South Africans, we need to collaborate a lot more, and we need to, in our businesses or in the environments, the spaces that we operate in, we actually need to run them like Africans, not like Europeans. Like Ubuntu as a principle carries throughout the entire continent. We need to run our businesses the same way. Our forefathers weren't wrong when a lot of these principles came into play. It served them really well. Before the Europeans arrived on their ships, it served them really well. They used to trade with each other. There was peace. Obviously, still there were other tribes taking over other tribes. That happened, but those principles served them well. Some of the wealthiest nations in the world were on this continent. And
like that guy Mansa Musa, the creator.
Yeah?
Like Mansa Musa.
Yes.
$400 billion.
Exactly. So some of the wealthiest nations and tribes are on this continent, and they lived happily. So I think when we build our businesses, we need to weave the African thread right through them, because there's a reason why you're born black and you're born in this continent. We need to create spaces that accentuate a lot of that, and we spend a lot of time at work, and those workspaces must be like that. When you adopt a foreign concept of running a business or foreign concept of living, you will struggle. You playing by rules that you did not create, that were never created for you, actually created against you, and you playing with those rules and you think you're going to do well. It's not going to happen.
Definitely.
It's not going to happen.
It's like trying to play tennis with rugby rules.
Exactly. It's not going to happen. That's exactly what we are doing. We're trying to conform a lot to European business regulations and business rules and principles, where we don't conform to African business principles, right? One example is Europeans have a very weird definition of bribery and
bribery.
Like bribery, right? So typically, if you go see a king in the village you come from, you go with a gift, right? In a European mindset, for them, that potentially doesn't make sense. But why am I taking a gift to this guy in order for him to see me? So you're saying that I have to pay him, or I have to give him something in order for him to do anything for me. Like, for example, if I go ask for land from the king or from the tribal leader where I'm from, I take a gift and I ask for land. If he says no, it's not like I take my gift back, right? I leave. It's like, no, it's fine. But if he says yes, anyone that's really looking at that whole thing is like, so you bribe them to get the land, which was not actually true. You don't go to someone's house empty-handed if they've invited you. Especially if it's a king. If it's a ruler, you don't do that. You take a gift. Right? But from a European perspective, they know that very well. when they go over to someone's house and take a bottle of wine,
Yeah.
is that bribery in order for that person to cook for you?
No, it's called common courtesy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when applied here on this continent, it's seen as something different. It's like, no, but you are bribing them.
No.
Where that's not the case.
It's vulamlom.
Yeah, it's a vulamlo, you know. So it's the principles, and I'm not saying that when we do business together, I must come bring a bottle of wine or whatever it is. But all I'm saying is the African principles of Ubuntu. I am because we are. If we really operate with that mindset and that mentality, a lot of the issues that we face will not be issues.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it will be like, because we'll all be doing things in the best interest of each other. Because I know that if I am wealthy, we are wealthy.
Exactly.
If I am poor, we are poor. So really, as it stands,
Yeah,
anyone,
no, I got my Bentley. You can
well, anyone on this continent for
Yeah.
me that will scream at the top of their lungs that they're the richest person, they're the wealthiest person, is sad because they subscribe to European policies of
Yeah.
wealth. Because on the African continent, the principle of Ubuntu is I am because we are.
Yeah.
And if the we is poor, my
Yeah.
friend, you too
Exactly.
are poor.
Jesus. Like,
So
like,
you too are poor.
yeah.
You know? So for me, I think those kind of principles, we wouldn't really put a foot wrong. We wouldn't put our foot in our mouth saying the wrong things to the wrong people.
Yeah.
You know? You go to Soweto or you go drive through Alex in a 4 million rand car, just so you can go to the
stunt on
Chisanyama
them.
there
Yeah.
to go stunt on
Yeah.
them. That's disgusting. if you subscribe to the principles to Ubuntu, you would not do that.
Yeah.
Because you would know that is not okay.
Yeah.
It is not okay. You don't flaunt like I have more than what you have. Because, you know, I am because we are. And if the we is poor,
All of us are poor.
all of us are poor.
Yeah.
You know, injure one, injure all. You know?
When else was that here? Okay, G. As we move on to the conclusion, 1 hour 40. I told you. I told you we're gonna be here. So what I do on the show is I give the guests opportunity to ask me a couple of questions. So anything that you want to know,
Yeah.
that you're curious about,
Yeah.
and I'll do my best to answer.
Sure. So
Yeah.
I think for me, my first question, what inspired you to build this platform?
Yeah.
Like just the thinking behind it and where you want to see it go.
Okay, I want to be rich. That's
Paper.
I want to get that paper. I saw people making $100 million of selling podcasts. I'm like, I want that too. So I've always liked learning from people. And I mean, it's a bit of a journey. 6 years ago, when I started working in corporate, I just took the extra time and money that I had to go to every single seminar I could find because I wanted to find the answers, what makes people successful. And the best way that I learned was speaking to people and interviewing people. And then I saw the idea of one guy had an entrepreneurship channel where he just interviewed experts, industry experts, and famous people, and just to like get so like he was building his profile that way,
Yeah.
and was also learning. But for me, the best way that I would learn is to learn from people who are smarter than I am. And then when I started sharing like YouTube videos back then, they were like, oh, this is great. When's the next one coming out? So that's why I was like, I actually like doing this. I procrastinated on it for quite a while, you know. I'm not going to start. And then 20 slapped. I was like, wow. So the thinking behind it is, number one, it's more of a selfish endeavor for me because I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning from a whole host of people, and there's a lot of things that I'm ignorant of, and a lot of things I do not know, and I want to come out straight out and say there's a lot of things that I do not know, and I'm also open to being wrong, and I'm also open to being corrected, because a person who doesn't want to be corrected is a tough person. Eh?
Yeah.
It's like those clients who are like, no, I am right,
I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah, so that's that was the inspiration behind it, and then I just found that I have a natural affinity to like speaking to people and being relatable to them, and not everyone can do that, and some people don't have the sort of the access. So I was like, okay, fine, let me kill two birds with one stone here. Let me speak to people and let me share the ideas, and then it just started to having this sort of multiplier effect, and not speak to just one type of person, speak to a whole host of different people. So that's where this started off. the sort of like the day where I was like, okay, now I can actually do this is when I saw Joe Rogan. I don't know if you heard of the Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah.
When I saw what he was doing, and for him, the way he was coming from is like, I'm just going to be relaxed about it, and we're going to have the conversation. And then I watched other people doing it, and then I was like afraid of like, okay, do I have to be all serious? And I said, no, let me just be myself. And then I said, okay, I'm just going to figure it out, and then I got the equipment, I got the guests, and just grew from there. Where I see it going is sort of like sky's the limit. Where I see it, obviously I wanted to go global, and then I also want people to be able to have the bravery enough to create other platforms themselves, because again, I don't want to be the only one. I can't be the only one, because that goes against the basic principle of me saying that I want to learn as much as possible. If other people know as much as possible, that means I can also learn from them, and also I would also like to have fun with it as well. So that's where I see this going. So global, and also empowering other people to do this themselves. And the reason that I do it here at home and don't go out booking mega studios, and I don't have the highest profile people as yet, is because I'm sending the message to people out there that you don't have to be really well endowed with money and a whole lot of talent. All you need to say is, I want to do this, and get the basic equipment, run it from your house, and then see where it goes from there. It's because a huge barrier in people's minds is, this looks difficult and I can't do it. So if I'm helping send the message that it's obviously you need the generic stuff, the drive, the determination. You need to be serious about it. There's a certain level of organization. You're going to make a couple of mistakes, but to say you don't have, you can just start from where you are, and people are more open than you thought. I thought. I mean, I was like, in terms of the guests that I brought on, I first started with the 3Fs, the family, friends, and the fools. Started with the friend, then it went from another friend, then it went to another friend, then they recommended, like your recommendation from Morgan, and then it just keeps on going. And then now other people who, I know there's one guy who's a bodybuilder pro that I reached out to because he saw what I was doing, and I set up time with him, another corporate leader that I was setting up time with. And then you find people are more open than you thought, than you ever thought. And the benefit of it is, like, you've got, I don't know, how young are you?
30.
30.
I just turned 30.
You just say, hey, happy birthday.
Thanks.
You've got 30 years of different experience than I have. Then, and I also believe in just leveraging off your experience. The best is to learn from another person's experience. So that was the genesis of this platform, and going forward for where it's going to go. I cannot tell you where it will be 5 years from now. But for me, the mindset of for me being consistent with it, I say, if I'm going to do this every single day for 10 years, where would it be? That's so good. My time zone is like a decade from now, and to see how big it will grow. But at the end of the day, it needs to be able to empower others to start their own platforms, so that we have that entire multiplier effect.
But I think from my side, I'll encourage you to also engage people that typically might not have the opportunity to tell their stories. So, like, sometimes when you're driving and you see a beggar, like, well, for me, I just wonder, I'm just like, this guy probably has a lot to teach me.
Exactly.
He has got so much to say. Just based on just one question, how did you get here? Exactly. And you might find that story is such a powerful story that encourages someone that's maybe traveling the same trajectory, or because I mean, stories have a principle, right? And the principle can be applied to multiple things in life. Because we all face our own demons, and
that's true,
in one way or another. So encourage, or speaking to those people that might not have ever the opportunity to have these types, like someone asking them, like, share your story, like, what's your story? And I think that will deliver a lot of value, and I think set your podcast apart from the ones that are just out there, because it's a different field. And in the same chair where you're gonna have the high powered CEO, director, founder of JSE listed company, it's the same chair you will have a guy that is not the wealthiest person, or the poorest, or a beggar. You know, I think a lot of people kind of seem to think that they don't have much to teach, but they probably have, in my view, probably the most to teach.
That's a powerful thing. I'm gonna find myself a beggar today. That's a powerful thing. Yeah. I mean, to that also, people who are also not high powered as well, or can be a bit apprehensive coming on the show. Because I once asked another friend, just basically, like, do you want to come on the show? Like, what am I going to say? I'm like, I'm sure that you've got something to say. You've got something to teach. You've got life experience. And then they said, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So I'm actually going to take that approach as well.
Yeah. Definitely. I really think those that don't have the access to, you know, the platforms like the Instagrams, the Twitters to share their minds and to join a hashtag, I think they have a lot to say.
Hashtag I woke up like this.
Hashtag I woke up like this. Like I learned a lot of, I mean, I still sit today and reminisce on some of the things that my grandparents told me. That I'm just like, that one statement carried so much value, which can be applied to so many different things. You know, I think they weren't necessarily corrupted by the technology, the noise.
Yeah.
Their thinking was maybe slightly different and maybe clearer, and their visions were not corrupted by media or social media. You know, so their thoughts and what they shared was like pretty clear. It's like, this is my experience. Where right now we blur the lines between my experience and the people I follow's experience.
Yeah.
You know, we seem to think that if there's something happening on Twitter and they're cancelling someone, the person's actually cancelled, but it's only because the people that you follow are the ones talking about it. But on someone else's Twitter, it actually looks different. Like, you know, and that's why they talk about Black Twitter. Like, it's different from other Twitters. You're cancelled on Black Twitter, but you can play on other Twitters. Yeah. Cool. And I think for me, just my last question is, I guess the question that you asked me, the South Africans that you look up to, you know. Well, actually, before the question, I'll just make one more statement to also say that I think you shouldn't just limit this to only South Africans, but actually make it very Pan-African, because what you might find is that our stories are very similar and our challenges are so similar that this podcast can also apply to someone sitting in Sudan or sitting in Freetown or sitting in, you know, wherever. But you realize that I think we are more similar than what we think we are, where, you know, South Africans being painted as being very xenophobic, which I don't think is the case necessarily. I think there is a group of South Africans that are xenophobic. I think you go to any country and you don't speak their language, they look at you funny. And I don't think it's xenophobic, but as Black people, we typically expect other Black people to be able to speak our language, as opposed to a white person going to not Nigeria. Nigeria is a bad example, but going to Kenya, not being able to speak Swahili, they're more accepting. But as a Black person going to Kenya, not being able to speak,
they're like, what's wrong with you?
Swahili, which is the most widely spoken African language in the continent.
I didn't know that.
French is number one, but French is not African. So Swahili is the most widely spoken language on the African continent.
Oh, okay.
And when you can't speak it, it's like, where are you from? It's like, are you mad?
South Africa?
They're like, oh, you mean like, Africa Lights, like Europe and Africa.
Yes. I realized that this is not Africa, guys. Here.
No, we're playing it.
We're playing it.
Yeah, so I would encourage you to speak to, you know, also other people, other game changers or other people from those different perspectives. But just back to my last question, the South Africans that you look up to,
that I look up to, who are doing real stuff. I'm not going to mention my family because there's a lot of, like, for me, it will start there. It will start from my dad to my mom to my grandparents, through to my cousins, to my siblings. They're in a different category all by themselves because they are they're the people who've influenced me the most and people that I took lessons from the most and I look up to the most. So those, I can't even put a top 5, that's like a top 20. Okay. But South Africans that I've been following, and the caveat here is that I do not know them. I know about them and I know their story. So based on the limited information, for me, she said I must give her a date and a time. She'll be here. Amanda Dambuza. I don't know if you've heard of her.
No.
So she started off as a project management professional and she's a CEO. She's got I think 3 books out now. Baked in Pain. And a girl named Aya, I can't remember the third one is, but from her aura and the work that she's doing in terms of uplifting other Black South African females and just her energy and her zest for life. She's married, she's got kids, she's a good family woman and a good corporate leader, and she's always willing to help give a hand up. So I can't wait to have her on the show. So like, because I've met her, no, I haven't met her. I haven't met her one-on-one. I saw her speak at a PMI conference. And just the wisdom that she was able to share, and she doesn't come across as a diva and doesn't have a celebrity spirit about her. She's willing to give her hands up, give you a hand up, you know. So I just, in terms of the work that she's been doing, I look up to her. And this list ever changes over time. And the other one would be Theo Baloyi, the founder of Batu, just looking at his story. It was started off at PwC, went to the Middle East, got his idea, left the corporate game, made the jump, made the leap, and then he's all about creating sustainable jobs and sustainable employment. And the fact that he was able to grow his business 300% during coronavirus was a very big feat. And then I do know he's mentoring other people to do the same. And he just keeps on going, and just creating a uniquely South African shoe brand. So that's why I'm buying his shoes and not Air Jordans. So he's doing some real good work there. Then I would say I haven't met this guy, but I'm a big fan. Trevor. Can we even call him South African anymore? Trevor. Can we call him South African anymore? Well,
his roots are here.
He left. He's like, I'm out.
He's just visiting.
I find him very funny, very inspirational. Just the fact that in the space of a decade, he was able to redefine comedy in South Africa. Was able to make himself international. And then from when he started in 2009 to 2019, he was able to, I think he sold out Madison Square Garden. He sold out Madison Square Garden last year. And I was looking at that, that's amazing. Just he went from success to success to success, and he still maintains his South African identity. He's always referring back to South Africa. He was able to bring South Africans.
You must thank the South African government for
he must thank Zuma and Malema. They helped him.
They have material for days.
Zwile Trevor, you need to give them props. So just in terms of, and also like the way you talk about money being an energy, there's a certain these people's energies are people that I can sort of relate to. Mteto Nyati, he is the group CEO of Altron.
Okay.
Yeah, Altron.
I know Altron.
He's the group CEO of Altron, and just his story, just the fact that he's able to do so much great work in corporate, which is run by white people. I almost said the whites, but run by white people. Just the fact that he's like a very strong corporate leader, and if you listen to his stuff on personal development, and I read his book, Betting on a Darkie.
Actually I've seen the book.
He's a guy, and one of the things that he shares the same sentiments as you is that every time he wanted to make a decision, he'd go and refer to his wife and say, honey, what do you think about this? And then the gut feel that his wife gave. Exactly. And then the advice that she gave him, he ran with it, and was always the right decision. But just how he was able to start off at Microsoft, and he turned things around there. Then MTN was having a hard time. He went to be the group CEO there, and he turned things around. Then Altron was doing okay, and then he went and he just made it. The organization is right now. They've really done really well. He was also on the cover of Financial Times, I think, because I'm a big Avengers fan.
Okay.
They had him in this Iron Man suit, and they called it the Age of Ultron, and they had his face there.
That's very cool.
I was like, that's funny. That's real funny. And these are people that I haven't actually met, but I like their stories. Final one for now. This is like I'll just end up on top 5. And not these are South Africans that I don't know at all. I don't know at all.
Yeah.
For now, I'll get them on the show, and then we can be same WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Black Coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, caveat, I don't know him personally. I don't care about his personal business. That's not my indaba there.
Yeah.
But what I'm a fan of is just how he's able to take this the African narrative and make it international.
Yeah.
And he's able to pay it forward to other people and just bring other people up with him. He's able to to help people up, to raise them up, and also his music is amazing.
His music is online.
His music is amazing. Yeah.
His music is
and
good.
also him playing live. It's a sight to behold.
Yeah.
So those the common theme with all the people that I've named, Utio, Amanda, Trevor, Black Coffee, and Mteto, is that they've got a good spirit about them, from as far as I know, and they're able to lift people up and also pushing the African narrative and South African narrative in a positive light.
Yeah.
That's what I really admire about the work that they do. So those are the names that I put out there.
Okay.
And all of you, I'm gonna tag all of you. I'm gonna get you on the show. Get you on the show so we can just have a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are all the questions for me. But I appreciate that you invited me and that I got to share my views and my thoughts.
Yeah.
But I mean, also I guess the caveat is you can invite me in 10 years' time. My views and thoughts might have changed.
Be different. They probably would have changed.
Yeah, they might have changed because no day is the same. So
no day is the same. So listen, we're gonna go through a quick speed round and then we're gonna.
Oh yes.
Aha! Right. I'm gonna say a word. Yeah, I'm gonna say a word and then you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. All right. Okay. Cool. Pan-Africanism.
Thomas Sankara.
Slave mentality.
Django.
All right. South African entrepreneurship.
Tough.
Denzel Washington.
Good actor.
Good actor. All right. Lionel Messi.
Small.
What? Greatest? I thought you were going to say the greatest ever.
Greatest ever is my father.
In football.
My father. Never played big time, but he was the greatest ever.
Okay, barring your father. Let's take emotions out of it. Let's take family out of it.
No, we cannot.
Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Okay, cool. Education.
A tool.
Friendships.
Important.
Right. Your partner.
I love her.
Very good. And then for the last one that I want you to really think deeply of, the future of South Africa.
Exciting.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Kagiso. So that has been myself and Kagiso on the 17th episode of the NJ podcast, and he's been a very good time. No alcohol required, No. Very good friend. And
government juice.
From now, I'm gonna call you a friend. I'm owning you as a friend now. Deal friend. And you're being nationalized as a friend. So one of the biggest bars that he dropped is that what he wants to work towards. He's a caterpillar looking for butterfly status.
Yes.
That's bars. And that has been him, and that's been myself and Njabulo James on the NJ podcast. Remember that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That means you're doing what you've always wanted to do, and not because someone else is forcing you to do so, because that is the only way that you can live a fulfilled life. So please go out there and change the world, because you're the only person that can. Thank you very much, Kagiso.
Cheers, thank you.
2 hours, 2 minutes. Y'all can.
I'm sorry.
We talk.
Please, can you show me the.
Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.